This was it. Time to decide. Seth leaned his forehead against the cool oak door of the Office of Heaven's Executive Administrator. The highest seraph didn't expect him until tomorrow. He could still leave, and no one would ever know he'd been here, or what he considered doing. He clenched his fist, felt the same clench in his gut. One way or the other, he had to decide. If he were going to do this, he had to do it now. The quiet confidence of his mother's words came back to him. "You will do everything you must, my son. I have never doubted that." He'd been so certain she was right. His love for her had overwhelmed him, as had the desire to fulfill his destiny. And then he thought about her, Alexandra Jarvis. The name surged upward in his mind, dragging with it the dark morass he'd been avoiding for days. The doubts, the desires. Seth's palms went damp and sweat beaded on his forehead. Doubts and desires so new to him, so foreign, that he had carefully tucked them away as the time of his transition crept ever closer, afraid to examine them for fear he might be tempted to do the very thing that brought him to Mitron's door now. He thought back to when he'd stood in Alex's living room, witness to her pain at losing her soulmate. He remembered how he'd wanted to reach out and comfort her, to hold her, to know her as Aramael had, only better. If he followed the path set for him by his parents, he would never have that chance, never see her again, unless. His fist tightened on a roll of papers, 2 sheets of parchment, one in the handwriting and language of a principality, a list of dates and events that would condemn the highest seraph to eternal limbo, the other a note in his own handwriting that would absolve Mitron from responsibility, if he complied with Seth's request. Given the evidence against him, Mitron would almost certainly see the benefit of the latter, which brought Seth back to his own choice, within his grasp, but still unmade. Lifting his head, he stared at the dark oak grain of the door. The responsibility that had been his from infancy sat like a mantle of lead across his shoulders. If he walked away, he would give up everything: his parentage, his immortality, his destiny, his power. Everything but a handful of years with a mortal woman soul-mated to another, yet irrevocably his. Desire uncoiled in his belly. Ever since Alex's hand had first closed over his arm in a silent plea for help, ever since that first undeniable frisson of awareness had flared between them, he had been consumed by her, had known that ultimately she belonged to him, known it, fought it, and now he would forfeit his destiny to prove it. Separating the papers, Seth rolled each individually and tucked them inside his sleeves. Accusation in one, absolution in the other. He raised his hand and knocked at Mitron's door.